This is going to be fun. I enjoy talking about horrible video game companies and horrible video games themselves. This actually is the first horrible video game company that I have ever covered, and of course, I had to pick a great one with EA, the one everyone loves. I had a different company in mind for my first, horrible video game company video, but I pushed it off a little bit to do just some more research on it before I actually started the video process. So, of course, I had to pick the second worst company in my mind, like I already said, EA. EA is, in my opinion, the second worst video game company, only surpassed by Activision, but like I said, we will get to them. That is for a different day, but I think they're the second worst for a few reasons that we will cover in this video. But if you want to see a video of me talking about a horrible video game, I will link that up here or up here, one of the two corners, Also, if you want to see me make more videos about horrible video game companies or horrible video games themselves, just let me know in the comments below. I can 100% do this. I think it's very fun. With everything out of the way, let's hop right into this, but something really just isn't feeling right. Okay, that's better. So, let's do a brief backstory to see where we started, and I promise it'll be short. I pinky promise, I swear. Alright, speedrun commences now. So, there's a dude named Trip Hawkins who worked at Apple for a couple years, and then he was offered an office space to start a fun little company, and he took it. Took him about 7 months to get it up and started, and it was in late 1982 the company was named Amazing Software. But the employees were like, dude, that name fucking sucks. So they renamed it to Electronic Arts. Then, 9 years into making video games, EA came out with their iconic division of EA Sports. And of course, they made games like Madden, FIFA, NASCAR, and the NHL. Then, during the mid-2000s is where EA started going fucking wild. With obviously EA Sports, but outside of that, they had the Sims games, they had Battlefield. But during this time is when we start to see our first cracks in the foundation of EA. See guys, I told you that'd be quick, speedrun. The first fun thing they did though that made people hate them was they acquired development companies. And I'll get to it in a second, but I wanted you guys to know that this got them the nickname, the Eels Empire, which I think is just a fantastic reputation for them. But what they would do is they'd acquire small gaming developers and pressure them into making games way faster than normal, to the point where the game's quality would suffer because of it. And then, obviously, the game's quality suffers, so the game's sales suffer, and EA goes, oh, well, you guys suck, and then just dissolve the company. This showed to a lot of other developers and a lot of, obviously, the general public that EA does not care about the developers, and they really only care about the money, obviously. They were just a money printing machine, and then when they put too much pressure on it and the money printing machine would falter, they'd kill the company. So, I mean, yeah. They also didn't do this to only one game company, they did it to a few. The biggest company that they did this to back in the mid-2000s was the studio Pandemic, who made games like the original two Star Wars Battlefront games and both of the Destroy All Human games. Which, by the way, the original Battlefront 2 for the Xbox was like my lifeblood as a child, so fuck you EA, personally for me. They did this really from 1992 to 2008-ish, and that's where they started to get some pushback, and they're like, we're sorry. They said that they give the companies more autonomy, which, yeah, sure. The thing is, though, this happened pretty recently with a company called Visceral Games, which made the Dead Space series, and those are obviously, cult classic, amazing games. So again, fuck EA. Another thing that's really small, to me at least, but probably not small to other developers that want to make money, is EA had signed exclusive contracts with companies like the NFL, the NHL, and the soccer leagues for exclusive use to their teams and their players, and basically their brands. So basically, no other gaming company can use those players' likenesses, their team's logos, and another thing that kind of did suck for actual people that bought these games was when they bought these companies out, or when they signed these exclusive contracts, they raised the prices of the games from what they like originally were. And I feel like that's kind of illegal of, you know, like buying like exclusive contracts so no one else can make these games and then raising the prices. So you're the only person putting this stuff out and you're the only like person getting the money from these brands. Like, that feels illegal to me. But I don't know. What do I know? Something small that I thought I should bring up as a reason for some people hating them. But let's get back to the big stuff, and that is the treatment of these video game employees. The big thing would be crunch time, and if you don't know what crunch time is, that is the weeks leading up to a game's release or the months leading up to a game's release. And the crunch time is obviously working longer to make sure the game gets out on time and it is polished. The amount of hours though that they would make you work is fucking wild. I mean, it's literally insane. We're talking anywhere work weeks from like 70 hours to 100 hours a week. And if you want to know what kind of hours you'd be looking at to do 100 hours a week, you'd be looking at 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. every fucking day, 7 fucking days a week. Then they'd occasionally get Saturday nights off at 6:30 because of good behavior, but that's still like nothing, dude. And the best thing on top of that is crunch time did not count as overtime, so they would not give you overtime pay for working these insane hours. And overtime pay is really nice, and working 100 hours a week with overtime pay would probably be really nice for these game developers, but nope, didn't pay them for overtime pay either. These were years ago though, to be fair, and EA was given their first lawsuit due to unpaid overtime, the amount of wild hours they were forcing people to work, and they ended up paying $15.6 million to the video game artist. And then a second lawsuit was filed by EA programmers, and once again EA was forced to pay up, but it was just a little bit smaller with $14.9 million. Apparently working conditions are better nowadays, thankfully though, because I don't imagine how anyone could actually do that 70 to 100 hours a week for more than just one fucking week. It's absolutely crazy. Keep in mind though that this was all happening around early 2010, so like 2009, 2010, 2011 was when this stuff was first like really like picking up pace, as EA being a very bad company, right? And an award that EA won that fits perfectly right in with everything is there was a poll online, obviously, every year for the consumer's worst company in America. And EA won it for 2012, but that's not all. That's not all. They won it again the next fucking year for 2013. Which I find so fucking funny. They won the worst company award 2 years back to back. You cannot imagine the position that their fucking executives must have been sitting in, like, holy shit, our company is god awful. But I mean, why would they care? I think that them getting it back to back, that really does solidify them as one of the worst video game companies like out there. We can agree on that, right? I just thought that was hilarious, and I 100% had to touch on that. Let's move on to the video game qualities though. And in particular, what I mean is how EA thinks it's okay to just release unfinished games. Like, the games they're releasing still need months of patching and work to make them fully playable and not actually just fucking crash on you. Just delay the game, EA. We really do not want a broken game. Take, for example, Battlefield 4, which at launch had a horrible netcode and connection issues, and on top of that, game-breaking bugs. Or we can talk about SimCity, where you had to connect online to even play the game, but for the first fucking week, the servers were down, so you couldn't even play the fucking game for the first week. So you spend $60 on a game that's unplayable for the first week. EA was like, boo-hoo, that sucks for you, dude. Then, if the game isn't broken somehow, EA does nothing to actually improve or, like, come up with new ideas for games like Madden or FIFA. Basically, everything from EA Sports is just a reskin from last year. All it really boils down to each year is updating the team roster, adding a few HUD changes, and improving the graphics a little bit. And they're like, yeah, we can push it out for another $60 every year. So basically, these games are either broken or they are unoriginal. There are very few games to come out of EA that are neither of the two nowadays, but I'll name at least two off for you guys, and they are It Takes Two and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So props to EA for those two games. But speaking of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, another reason I personally hate EA is they hate single player games. And what I mean by this is the CEO of EA, Andrew Wilson, said in an interview that people do not care about single player games, which I'm not sure why he said that when the sales for Jedi Fallen Order or Dead Space or It Takes Two were so good. And the reason EA hates single player games is the biggest reason why people hate them nowadays, which is they can't drain money from you as well as they can with microtransactions and multiplayer games as they can in single player games. And talking about microtransactions, we are at the last stop for this video, which is EA and all the microtransactions they put in their fucking games. Yes, the best and the most fun thing in video games. It is just so great with loot boxes. I know everyone loves them, and the pay to play win system, it's fantastic. So I'm going to do a very, very brief explanation on loot boxes if you've never heard of them, which if you haven't, I don't even know how you haven't. But I promise you it'll be quick, so let's just get started. It's a consumable item that randomly gives you other items like characters, skins, guns, etc. But normally you get them with in-game currency by playing the game, or you can just buy the in-game currency with actual money. See, I told you guys it'd be quick. But normally loot boxes have just skins or stuff to customize your player or your icon, logo, stuff like that, all like just cosmetic stuff. But no, and no. In EA games though, they give you stuff to actually make you better, like better guns than the rest of the people, better characters than the base characters. So either you get lucky, or like I said, you pay to win, which everyone loves. It's very obviously unfair though to spend hours and hours and hours grinding out this in-game currency to get the stuff in the loot boxes when other people are just spending money and just getting a good gun or getting a new good character just for spending money basically. It's not fair to the people that are putting in the time to grind the currency, and it's just not fun at all. No one's going to want to spend tons of hours unlocking shit for someone else just to go to buy it quicker than they can fucking unlock it. Another thing this does is it introduces young kids, and especially young impressionable kids, who like playing video games of soccer or football or even fucking Star Wars to gambling, which I think is just a fantastic idea. Yes, let's introduce these young kids to gambling. Great idea, EA. The loot boxes plus the game's quality on release, I think, truly shows what EA cares about, and it's really just money. These games are unfinished, then they're pushing a shit ton of microtransactions to get even more money than the AAA $60 that games are nowadays. EA only cares about the dollar signs and not the actual people who are making the games or even playing the games. Before we hop off though, I will give you one good little story about everyone fighting back against EA with microtransactions. And that is with Star Wars Battlefront 2. And everyone hated the fucking pay to win aspect on it, of course. And even fucking Disney stepped in and was like, hey, bro, you gotta fuck off with this gambling and shit on these young kids, bro. This is not a good look. And EA was obviously forced to take it away because Disney was threatening them. So they actually did it, and they honestly fixed Battlefront 2 up to be a pretty nice game nowadays that is actually very, very playable. So I guess the lowest respect to EA for that, I guess. Well, we're back to me now. People hate EA for many different reasons, though. I just covered some of the biggest and the baddest here today. There are probably other reasons that I missed, and if I did, and if you hate EA for any other reasons, let me know down in the comments below. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, of course, leave a fucking like on it. If you want to see something brighter and happier, click the video right up, either up here or here, and that will be talking about the best video game ever made. So we're going from the worst company to the best game ever made. I think it's a fair trade, guys. Also, click the big red subscribe button down below, because guys, if you don't, I'm going to force you to work for 70 to 100 hours with EA, and guys, come on, we all know that's going to be fucking horrible and actually just fucking hell. So guys, just go down and click it for your own mental sanity, for all the time that I'm making you spend, and your physical health. So guys, just go down and click it, please, come on. I hope that you, though, yep, you right there, have a fan-fucking-tastic day. And guys, of course, like always, deuces.